So, you know how in the natural world, the strongest, most rigid trees are usually the ones that just snap in a hurricane?
Right, they just break right in half.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it's the soft, flexible reeds that bend, survive, and just keep growing once the wind dies down.
Yep, the classic example.
And today we're looking at a stack of research that suggests human civilization, and honestly, the trajectory of your own career operates on that exact same brutal logic.
It really does. It's pretty eye-opening.
We've got a set of really fascinating analytical notes on civilization analysis alongside this deeply provocative thesis titled Fluidity and Stability.
Really great material.
Yeah, and the mission of this deep dive into these sources is to fundamentally rethink the concept of stability in a rapidly changing world. We're exploring this paradox of why the most rigid, highly fixed societies or organizations are actually, the most fragile.
Yeah, and to do that, we really need to view the chaotic events happening around us, right? Like technological leaps, market disruptions, shifting borders.
Right.
We can't just see them as isolated news stories. We have to see them as underlying pressures. And the sources we're analyzing today, they kind of act as an observation device to expose the hidden architecture of, well, how human systems actually handle those pressures.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the common intuition we all share is that a stable society is a strong, unchanging one.
Yeah, of course.
Like, think of a massive stone fortress, right? Feels totally secure.
Yeah.
Or even just a highly optimized corporate supply chain.
Exactly. Everyone knows their exact job. The rules are absolute.
There's zero hesitation. Ambiguity is just gone.
Right. And short-term efficiency just goes through the roof because responsibility is, perfectly clear. Like if something goes wrong at Station 4, the system knows exactly who is in charge of Station 4.
So that's what the sources call fixed stability.
Right. That's the textbook definition. Yeah. And it's incredibly appealing because biologically, we're wired to equate stillness and predictability with safety.
Makes sense.
I mean, a rigid assembly line is a marvel of human engineering, but only when the environment is perfectly predictable. What's fascinating here is when the environment undergoes nonlinear change, that exact same fixed structure loses the room needed to receive and process new realities.
But wait, if I build a strong enough system, shouldn't it just, repel those changes?
How do you mean?
Like a massive stone wall. It doesn't care if it's raining or snowing outside. Shouldn't a well-designed organization just block those external changes and keep functioning?
Well, that assumption relies on treating environmental changes merely as weather to be endured. But nonlinear changes in a society aren't weather.
What are they then?
They're shifts in the foundational rules of survival. So fixed structures treat all deviations, exceptions, and unexpected differences as just noise.
Ah, I see.
Or worse, they view them as a kind of rebellion that has to be actively erased to protect the core. But the sources argue something radically different. Those deviations aren't noise. They are crucial update signals from the future.
So by blocking them to maintain order, the system isn't protecting itself. It's actually blinding itself.
Exactly. A fixed society, or say a rigid company, becomes so obsessed with maintaining its historical shape that it actively destroys the information it needs to adapt to tomorrow. It basically refuses to download the software update.
Wow. But if an organization is constantly repelling change and blocking out these update signals, that pressure has to go somewhere, right? The friction doesn't just evaporate because the CEO sent out a memo.
All right, the pressure moves underground.
Yeah.
And this leads to the invisible accumulation of friction. So on the surface, a highly fixed system looks incredibly orderly.
Everyone's hitting their KPIs.
Yeah, rules are being followed, it seems quiet. But beneath that surface, the everyday struggle of handling local discomfort and exceptions, it generates an enormous amount of institutional heat.
This totally reminds me of classic business failures, like Nokia or Blockbuster.
Oh, perfect examples.
Because, Nokia's engineers actually developed early touchscreen technology long before the iPhone.
They did, yeah.
But the company's entire fixed structure, their evaluation standards, their manufacturing lines, it was all built around durable hardware and battery life.
Right.
So the engineers holding the new technology were sending an update signal from the future. But the rigid hierarchy just treated that signal as noise because it didn't fit the existing metrics.
And that case study perfectly illustrates a core insight from the civilization analysis notes. The fatal issue is almost never that problems do not exist.
What is it then?
The real issue is that those problems have no pathway to be processed as meaningful signals. Nokia had the technology, but the system lacks the structural pathway to route that deviation up to the decision makers.
Oh, I get it. It's like driving down the highway and putting a piece of black tape over the check engine light. Like
Exactly.
the cabin looks fine, the music is playing, you feel entirely in control. Meanwhile, the engine is literally melting down, the heat is accumulating, the car looks pristine right up until the exact second the engine seizes and you're stranded at 70 miles an hour.
The taped-over dashboard is the perfect mechanical representation of fixed stability. The system has intentionally severed the pathway for warning signals because, well, those signals are inconvenient to the current operation.
Right, they mess up the vibe.
Exactly. So the pressure builds until a threshold is crossed and the entire structure just snaps.
Okay, so if the stone fortress is a trap, and fixing our systems tightly just ensures we're eventually going to be crushed when the walls fall, what's the alternative? Do we just want chaos? Just throwing away all the rules and winging it every day?
No, not at all. The alternative is a concept the thesis calls fluid stability. You also see it in the research as phase fluidity or liquid stability.
Fluid stability, okay.
Yeah, and the defining characteristic is the ability to change without collapsing.
Here's where it gets really interesting. The contrast in how these two models process the world is staggering. Fixed stability tries to erase deviation, just rub it out entirely.
Yeah.
But fluid stability allows deviation to pass through the system and become usable information.
And passing through is the mechanical secret. But we have to be clear, fluid stability is not anarchy. It does not mean improvisation or a lack of rules.
Right.
It means building a very specific type of structure that intentionally tolerates local fluctuations, diverse judgments, and unfixed options, but still retains the ability to recover, reconnect, and reorganize as a whole.
So it's more like a modern suspension bridge.
How so?
Well, a stone bridge takes the full force of an earthquake and cracks. But a suspension bridge, it looks solid from afar, but if you actually stand on it, you feel it moving.
Oh, definitely.
It sways in heavy winds, it bounces when a fleet of trucks drives over it. It's mechanically designed to fluctuate locally so that the macrostructure doesn't snap.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
The movement of the bridge isn't a symptom of weakness. The movement is actually the mechanism of its strength. It takes the kinetic energy of the wind and traffic, the friction and update signals, basically, and lets that energy pass through the system without causing a structural failure.
And if you're listening to this on your way to work, dealing with the daily grind of strict deliverables, macro sociology might feel a bit abstract. But this distinction is violently urgent right now.
Absolutely.
Because we are operating in an environment where the wind hitting that suspension bridge is stronger than at any point in modern history.
Without a doubt. We've entered an era defined by AI, which fundamentally changes the value of information. AI compresses the value of basic data and makes mere explanation totally obsolete.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
But the notes on civilization analysis push this even further. AI is not just a new tool. It is generating a multi-layered pressure field.
A pressure field. It
Yeah.
feels like standing on multiple tectonic plates that are all grinding against each other at different speeds, Like, we aren't just dealing with a standard software update here.
The tectonic plate analogy is incredibly accurate. We have the technology layer shifting. But at the exact same time, work boundaries are moving. The definition of expertise is being rewritten. Capital is flowing differently.
It's all happening at once.
Yeah. State competition is intensifying. Even the physical infrastructure, the power grids, water usage for data centers, semiconductor supply chains, it's all fluctuating. All of these foundational plates are moving simultaneously.
Which means relying on a single fixed system right now is just maximizing your risk. Like, if you've built your career on a single correct answer, a single fixed path, or a single corporate ladder, you've essentially built a stone fortress right on a major fault line.
Exactly. If we connect this to the bigger picture, when multiple foundational layers change at once, having a strong, immovable center does not save you.
The center is going to shake regardless.
Precisely. What guarantees survival is the ability to dynamically reorganize.
Okay, so if I'm managing a team or just trying to navigate my own career through this crazy AI pressure field, I need my life to function like that suspension bridge. And the source material actually outlines 5 core conditions for designing this liquid stability, right?
Yes, 5 conditions.
Buffer, redundancy, recovery capacity, reconnectability, and boundary fluidity.
Right. These are the mechanical elements you have to build into an organization or even your own skill set to ensure you can change without collapsing.
Okay, but let me play devil's advocate for a second. If I go to a modern CEO tomorrow and pitched introducing redundancy and buffer into our budget, I will be laughed right out of the room.
No problem.
I mean, modern business is completely obsessed with lean efficiency. Every dollar, every hour of the supply chain is optimized to the bone. How does fluid stability actually survive the reality of Wall Street?
Well, lean efficiency is the peak manifestation of that short-term illusion we discussed earlier.
Yeah.
In a perfectly predictable, linear world, buffer and redundancy definitely look like wasted capital. But we do not live in a linear world anymore.
Not at all.
In a nonlinear, unpredictable environment, buffer and redundancy are the absolute, non-negotiable foundations of long-term survival.
Because the moment a geopolitical shock hits or an AI breakthrough makes your core software totally obsolete, the lean, fixed company's efficiency just drops to zero.
Right.
They have zero shock absorbers.
Yes, exactly. Let's look at how these mechanically function. Buffer absorbs the initial shock. It's the financial reserve, the extra inventory, or even just the untethered time in a schedule that allows a team to pause and process an update signal without, missing a critical deadline.
Right, just breathing room.
Yeah. And redundancy ensures you have an alternative pathway. If you only have one supplier for a crucial component, you're highly efficient, sure, but you're totally fragile. Redundancy means having a secondary supplier or a team member cross-trained in a critical skill, even if it costs slightly more day-to-day.
That makes a lot of sense. So that brings us to recovery capacity and reconnectability. But how does reconnectability actually work mechanically in a company? It sounds great in theory, but what does it look like on a random Tuesday afternoon?
Mechanically, reconnectability requires shifting away from strict vertical ladders and moving toward modular network-based structures.
Okay, like what?
Think of it like an API in software development. Nodes or teams are empowered with standardized protocols to communicate directly with one another.
Right.
So, if an external shock dismantled Team A entirely, the surviving members don't have to wait for the CEO to rewrite the entire org chart. They already have the protocols to plug directly into Team B and Team C. The parts find each other and form new alliances organically.
It's an organizational structure built on skills and interoperability rather than rigid titles.
Exactly.
Which ties directly into the fifth condition, which was boundary fluidity.
Yes. Boundary fluidity means your identity or your organization's function isn't so rigidly defined that you can't adapt when the landscape shifts.
Like wearing multiple hats.
Sort of.
Yeah.
It's the marketing team that understands code or the hardware manufacturer that can rapidly pivot to software logistics. The boundaries are porous enough to let new information in and allow talent to flow where the pressure demands it.
So what does this all mean? It means true stability isn't about fiercely defending a fixed center point. It's entirely about how effectively you can relocate when that center inevitably shakes. It's how quickly you can resynchronize your network when the boundaries of your industry just evaporate.
And this requires a profound cognitive shift for most leaders.
I bet.
Because we are trained to view the need to pivot as a failure of our original plan. But in a fluidly stable system, pivoting isn't a failure. It is the system working exactly as it was designed to work. It's the successful processing of an update signal from the future.
That is such a powerful way to frame it. So for you listening right now, whether you're trying to guide a massive corporation through this crazy AI transition or just trying to future-proof your own career, the objective is not to build thicker walls to resist the chaos.
Definitely not.
The objective is to cultivate collapse-proof liquidity. Stability is not the absence of change. It is the ability to change without collapsing.
This raises an important question, though, to leave hovering in the air today. As you evaluate the systems you rely on, your workplace structure, your investment strategies, maybe even your own daily habits,
Right.
perhaps the true measure of their stability is not how little they move.
Right.
The real measure of stability is where they can return after they've been shaken.